We are witnessing currently throughout the world a quite decisive movement towards the rejection of the post-World War II liberal consensus order. And this has manifested itself in numerous ways. The boomer generation in particular were the ones to uphold this project and the ones who sustained this project for a very long time. And this was only natural as they've been the ones in power for a very long time and they've pushed certain policies in line with this project. However, especially amongst younger generations and in different countries and different communities throughout the world, faith in this project has been collapsing. And there have been quite a few decisive events which I think have shattered faith in this kind of globalist, you know, liberal based regime. If we talk specifically about the wars in the Middle East that have occurred over the past 20 years, they have broken the trust of the Muslim populations and of the vast majority of peoples in these lands, as long as well as having disenfranchised and alienated and pushed away the intellectual classes of these nations, whether it have been Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya. But the biggest catalyst in all of this, in this breakdown, has to be the ongoing killing of the Palestinian people at the hands of the Israeli occupying forces. This set of atrocities that has been committed over the past 2 years, but which has its roots in 75 years of occupation and ethnic cleansing, has quite decisively since 2023 destroyed the faith of the Muslim world in the Western project and in any hopes of a future where they can trust the Western powers. This has obviously been a long time coming, but inevitably this was going to be the end result of all the wars and all the conflicts funded by, in particular, the USA, but by the broader Western world in that region. In the West, we noticed the rising of nationalism and a return to more traditional ways of thinking. Of course, most of Gen Z is still nominally liberal, and that isn't to say that there aren't people who, disagree with all of this, but there is a considerable growing undercurrent of far right thought within these Western countries. And there is an increasing ethno nationalist, traditionalist sentiment amongst many Western communities that is quite decisively also breaking away from the liberal order. They are rejecting the multicultural project, they are rejecting the globalist project, and they feel as it, and they have these feelings of alienation with the dominant culture, which they think have stripped away their identity. You also see this in various other countries throughout the world. Japan is experiencing its own far right rising. America is experiencing its own far right rising. And the European countries are also experiencing this. In other words, there are movements towards more nationalistic, traditionalist, heritage based ways of thinking about one's identity. And slowly but surely, the trust within the liberal project has been breaking down. What does this tell all of us? Whether one agrees with all of these developments or not, whether one thinks that these are forces for good or forces for bad, it tells us that history is like a pendulum. History swings back and forth. And when one movement, when one project occurs in history, its counter reaction, its opposite and equal reaction always occurs. And so if the pendulum swings one way, it's bound to swing back the other way. And we are perhaps living in a period of transition where this original order that we grew up in is breaking down and paving way for a new order to arise. And so we cannot take the world that we are currently living in for granted, the world order that we are currently living in. And it is very possible in coming generations, in coming decades, for an entirely new understanding of the world and an entirely new world order to emerge. One that is not based on the liberal project and one that is not based on any ideas of globalism or interconnectedness per se.